All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm finally nice enough outside for me to go riding, and as the title says, and as I promised in my last video, we're gonna take the 97mm, I think what they are, polyurethane that came with the black car version 1, threw them on the Challenger. We're gonna go for a ride. That's what y'all want to see. I want to go on record by saying I hate y'all for making me do this. It's not that I hate polyurethane wheels, it's that I hate polyurethane wheels in my area where I ride. If I had smooth roads, I know I'd love them. I don't have smooth roads and I ride on a lot of sidewalks, so here we go. Okay, here's where the Challenger really shines. This is a triangle shaped sidewalk. You can see that angle of what I'm going to be going back on, and I'm just going to turn the board. Made it. Here's another one. Let's try a front toe side. Oh, wheel bite. Still getting wheel bite with it. I know if I tighten the trucks and I get riser, it'll help. I'm trying not to do that yet. I want the turning radius that it has. So I'm going to learn how to deal with the wheel bite. These are just a pair of generic urethane wheel that came with my original black cars. So Onsra sent these on their original boards. Let's see how well they fit on the Challenger. So they do slide on. They're tight though. You can tell they're tight. And for reference, there's a gap just by hand. There is no real gap to mention. But when you put the nut on, the washer and the nut, and you tighten the nut down, it does suck them in a little bit. They are a little tight on the adapters, but they do work. Yep. Surprise, surprise. You are going to have to force them off. So I got the question, do the Eovan wheels fit on the Challenger? No. You can force them on. There's still quite a big gap. See, it should sit actually over the cans. There's a decent gap. I'll see if I can force it on more. So I beat that wheel on as hard as I'm willing to onto my board. There's still a gap. You can see that the splines on the motor aren't really touching that far inside the wheel. So to me, no, they don't fit. Maybe you want to run them like this, go for it. So this is why I need bigger wheels where I ride. Look, this is a street. Look at this crack. Now, these wheels will go over this. It's just not pleasant, especially if you're going at speed. It's not very pleasant to drop your wheel into a crack like that. Now let's listen to the wheels on the harder asphalt and some sidewalks, and you'll see what I mean on just how rough they are for the area that I ride in. Look at that. Some smoother asphalt, they actually feel really good. If this is where I primarily rode all the time, I'd probably run urethane wheels on all my boards, but I don't, and that's why I spend all my money on cloud wheels. So it does take a little bit more leaning to get it to wheel bite, but you can get it to wheel bite. Now, when I say wheel bite, I'm going like 2 miles an hour every time I do it. It's when I'm trying to do a crazy turn and push the board over really hard. Yeah, it's not an issue for me. I just hop off the board. I'm trying to push the limits of the board. I still think it's really fun board. Now, let's go into that. I know my last video, I didn't really have a lot of negative things to say about the Challenger. I really liked it. So, I'm sorry for that. Maybe I am biased towards Onsra. I think I am. But let me ask you this. Do you like Android or Apple? Why? Exactly. Everybody has a bias. I do like Onsra. There are other boards that I like too. And I try to be honest about it. So, racking my brain thinking, you know, what's a big negative about this board? And the biggest thing that I can come up with is it doesn't push to start. So when it's really cool that you can kick the back tail up and carry it onto a train or whatever, but when you get off the train, you're gonna have to push a button. You can't just flop it down on the ground, push it, and it automatically turns on. I really wish you could. And thanks Emma Johnson for bringing that up, because I thought about it in my last video, but I didn't mention it. So thanks, appreciate the comment. Yeah, I really wish that the Onsra Challenger had push to start. Really do. Okay, last thing I'll say about the urethane wheels before I go pull the off and put the cloud wheel back on is I do see an increase on braking power. So I'm going 13 miles an hour right now, cram the brakes, and stopped. There's Pikes Peak in the background, bunch of snow on the top of it, a little bit of weather coming in. I love where I live. I love seeing Pikes Peak, especially with some snow caps on it. We're gonna try one more thing, and I'm just gonna let it sit here and kind of turn itself off over time. I'm not gonna turn it off, and then I'm gonna push it and try to use the remote. I don't think it's gonna work, but we'll see. So I've been letting it sit here for 5 minutes. We're at the 5-minute mark. Remote's still on, board's still on. We'll see when it turns off. All right, about 30 seconds later it turned off. So the remote's off, the board is off. So, flip the remote, nothing happens when you flip the remote. Let's get the board off the truck. And let's see what we got here. I'm going to turn on the remote. It says disconnected. I'm going to push the board. Yep, no brakes. Oh gosh. Nothing. So, yeah. Put push to start on that board. It's such a cool board to jump on and off public transportation or whatever in a city, but without push to start, it's kind of annoying. You gotta turn on the board. Alright, we're out here with the Challenger and the dreaded Hill of Doom. I should rename this hill Hurt Feelings, because a lot of people get their feeling hurt when the boards that they like don't do well up it. But we got the 105s back on it. Let's see how it does. We're in mode 3. Floored. Floored right now. See, 7 miles an hour. I just weigh too much for direct drive. Fully charged. 8. Okay, now we're picking up some speed. 12. Still floored. $11, $12, $13, $14. Okay, so 14 miles an hour. The board did struggle up that hill. with my weight on it. And that's what I keep saying about the direct drive. If you weigh 170 pounds or less, direct drive's awesome. If you're out of shape and weigh too much like I do, 210 pounds right now, then it's not the best board for hills. Good morning. So downhill also, the brakes struggle a little bit to hold the board back. This is the steepest section right here. And if I go full brakes, I'm full brakes right now, and I'm still moving. I mean, I could hop off of it, but I'm 8 miles an hour with full brakes. So yeah, direct drive, if you weigh more, probably isn't the one to go with, but I still like the board. Little bit of gee whiz info for those that care. The hardware that's included with the Challenger is about 1/8 of an inch longer than needed. So if you're going to run 1/8 of an inch, sorry, 1/4 of an inch. If you're going to run a spacer that are 1/4 of an inch or smaller, then you should be able to use the stock hardware that came on the Challenger. Also, gee whiz information. These are the same motors as on the Black Carve. So Onsra does make an adapter for the motors to fit the rubber wheels. So technically, if you wanted to, you could run 115 rubber wheels on the Challenger. Talk about wheel bite. I just wanted to see how it looked. I didn't change it out. It's just sitting on there. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, from 105 to 115, you'll get a lot more wheel bite. But if you put in the spacer and want to run them, you can.